Yoshida is a 26-year-old virgin, wage slave loser who was rejected by his crush, just like you. But his life soon will change after taking in a homeless girl and keep her in his basement. It all started when Yoshida was clearly nervous about the occasion. After preparing himself for a few seconds, he musters the courage to ask Gato if she'd like to come back to his apartment. This catches her off guard. She explains to Yoshida that she hasn't mentioned it at the office yet, but she has a boyfriend, and so she broke Yoshida's heart. He later vents his frustration and pain at another establishment with his best friend and co-worker, Hashimoto. While listening to all of Yoshida's woes, Hashimoto checks the time and tells him he's leaving before the last train as his wife is waiting for him. Later, a rather drunk Yoshida walks back home. On his way, he notices a young girl sitting next to a lamppost. Her name is Sayu Ogiwara, a 17-year-old high school student. He approaches her, asking what she's doing out so late and urging her to go home. Sayu explains that the station is closed, then stands up and asks him to let her stay at his place. Yoshida is offended by this, wondering what kind of teenager stays at the house of a man she doesn't even know. She defends herself, explaining that she has nowhere to go tonight and no money for a karaoke or internet cafe. She also acknowledges that she can't stay at his place for free, offering to sleep with him in exchange for shelter. Hearing this makes Yoshida wonder if this is how high school girls are nowadays, but he quickly realizes that she's one of the rare one. Without hesitation, he asks her not to say such things, even as a joke, but Sayu insists that she's serious. Despite this, Yoshida informs her that he doesn't want to sleep with a brat. Sayu then simply asks to stay for free, which he reluctantly agrees to. Once in his apartment, she mentions the fact that he doesn't keep his house clean. Yoshida asks her what kind of man living alone keeps a clean house, to which she replies that some men do this makes him feel intrigued, but he quickly brushes off the comment. He tells himself not to get involved with her. Whatever life she's had or how she ended up here is not his problem. He'll kick her out at dawn, and that will be the end of it. He then lies down in his bed if Sayu asks if he's sure he doesn't want to sleep with her, but Yoshida rejects the idea without hesitation. That's when she asks him if there's anything else he wants her to do, to which he replies that he wants to eat miso soup made by a girl, and falls asleep seconds later. The next morning, Yoshida wakes up with a start, worried about being late for work. Moments later, he suffers a headache from the hangover. Remembering that today is Sunday, he doesn't have to work. Stave cheerfully greets him good morning, but a startled Yoshida asks her who the hell she is. She doesn't know how to answer that question, so she simply tells him she's a teenager. Seeing that he doesn't remember anything, she explains that she asked him to stay at his place and he agreed. After that, Yoshida asks if he did anything inappropriate to her last night, and Sayu stares at him with a frown for a few long seconds, but she quickly laughs and tells him she was just kidding, that he didn't do anything wrong to her. She then serves him the miso soup she was cooking, but Yoshida is still uncomfortable with the situation and asks her to leave since he still doesn't remember anything. So Sayu explains again that she was sitting under a lamppost last night and he talked to her. After thinking for a moment, Yoshida remembers that she's the one with the black panties, making Sayu a little embarrassed now that the matter is cleared up. He told her his name, Yoshida, after she asked. He then decides to try the miso soup because he's hungry and is surprised by how delicious it is. That's when Sayu mentions that he probably wanted Garu to make it for him. She knows Garu rejected him because he said it many times in his sleep. The next thing she does is sit next to him and ask if he wants her to comfort him. Revealing her cleavage, Yoshida rejects her offer, clarifying that he's not so pathetic as to need comfort from a flat-chested kid. After that, she tells him that she doesn't really want to sleep with him, but she's willing to do it. Yoshida is confused by her behavior, while Sayu tells him it's strange because no man has ever given her accommodation for free before. This catches Yoshida off guard and he pulls away from her to ask her name. She introduces herself as Sayu, also giving him her identification there. Yoshida reads that her name is Sayu Ogiwara and that her school is in Hokkaido, surprised by the fact that she lives so far away. After questioning her, she tells him that she left home about 6 months ago. She didn't tell her parents when she left, but she believes it's not necessary since they must be happy that she's gone. Yoshida doesn't believe that last part. Seeing the forced smile she puts on at that moment, he then asks her what she will do if she doesn't want to go back home and doesn't go to school, to which she replies that she will manage to get someone to give her accommodation. But Yoshida criticizes her methods, that she doesn't understand the seriousness of her actions despite his attempts to make her see it. After thinking about the situation for a while, Yoshida advises her to get a job and that she can live with him. She has no money or place to live. That's why she seduces men. Now he wants to correct that ridiculous mindset of hers. He repeatedly calls her a fool, a spoiled brat who doesn't know the value of things, which hurts Sayu to hurt. Yoshida wonders in his head why she couldn't have a normal adolescence, fall in love like everyone else, and live a normal life. He then informs her that she will do all the chores in the house as that will be her job for now. The first thing is to set up her routines and schedules, not wanting her to do whatever she wants, agreeing to let her live here until she gets tired of running away and goes back home. At that moment, Yoshida thinks more about this matter. It must have been difficult, but surely she had healthier options than seducing men for a place to sleep, but for some reason, she forgot them a long time ago. Also, with this conversation, he realized something, and that is that this girl is very spoiled. So if he says anything else, she will really stay here for years. There, he warns her that if she seduces him again, he will kick her out, which Sayu happily accepts. And so began the strange life together of a high school girl, a 26-year-old office worker. However, at that time, Yoshida had greatly underestimated how difficult it would be to live with a teenage girl. Once at work, he tells Hashimoto everything that happened, who warns him that what he is doing is dangerous. Yoshida also explains that he has not found any missing person reports on the networks or anything like that. Lastly, Hashimoto advises him that he should send the girl home as soon as possible. He already knows this, but Yoshida keeps thinking about what might be happening to her. Arriving home at night, he realizes that she has ironed the clothes, noticing that she is more skilled than he thought. Soon after, Yoshida starts smoking outside so as not to disturb her. And upon seeing that, Sayu mentions that he is a kind person. She thinks that about him because everyone else would smoke without caring if she was there or not. Hearing that makes Yoshida wonder why all her values are based on what those losers did to her. So he tells her firmly that he's not kind, they're trash, and asks her to remember that and that she shouldn't lower her standard. She should see everything for what it is. Hearing this, Sayu accepts without complaint, while Yoshida thinks he can't understand how anyone could be attracted to her. The fact that her values are so messed up is partly due to how spoiled she is, but he's sure there was a bad environment and evil adults who helped lead her astray. He feels disgust for them for giving her a place to run away and allowing her to remain spoiled. One weekend, he notices that she wakes up sore in the mornings and that she always wears her uniform because it's the only thing she has. So the two of them go to the mall to buy her clothes, even though Sayu insists it's not necessary. Yoshida ignores her words. Determined to buy her new clothes and a new futon, Sayu mentions that if he does that for her, she won't know how to return the favor. With that being said, he understands that it's not shyness. What's happening is that she doesn't want to accept it because she can't pay him back. So he tells her that he's very busy so he doesn't have time for chores, but lately she's been doing them all. This past week has been much more comfortable at home, which is reason enough to buy her these things. After buying her the futon, Sayu feels very happy about how comfortable it is. She also takes the opportunity to ask Yoshida if he wants to sleep together, starting to laugh at making that joke and seeing his reaction. After seeing her happy, he lets her know that she looks prettier when she laughs, which leaves Sayu quite embarrassed. When Yoshida is at work, Hashimoto tells him that there's a rumor going around that he has a girlfriend, and it's because he leaves on time every day. He's cleaner and his shirts aren't wrinkled. He also has a nicer face and does his job more enthusiastically. That's what the girls said about him, although in reality it's thanks to a teenage girl, and Yoshida admits that this is true. Later on, Yoshida goes out with Sayu to buy some things she needs, and he's shocked by how expensive everything is. After that, he finds out that Sayu doesn't have a phone. She explains to him that her classmates from when she lived in Hokkaido wouldn't stop calling her, so she threw it into the sea. Yoshida wants a way to contact her, although Sayu insists that he doesn't buy her anything as it's not necessary. At that moment, he sees that look on her face again, an improvised smile that doesn't feel natural, and he wonders if she's really smiling. That's why when they get home, he explains that as long as she keeps her promise, she can stay here without any problems, and he asks her to stop trying to please him. Sayu asks him why he is so kind, as he is the kindest person she has ever met. And that's why if he says he doesn't like something, she won't do it. She will try to stop thinking about how to please him and stop faking her smiles. Although her fake smiles have become a habit, so that will take time. Forgiving others isn't easy, and no one has ever forgiven or allowed her as much as he has. She doesn't know how to explain it, but from now on she wants to make an effort so that he's glad he met her. After listening to her, Yoshida can't help but laugh, realizing that she's also very kind. When he's at the office, Yoshida scolds an employee under his supervision named Yuzuha Mishima. This is because the code she wrote is full of errors, so they have to fix it. Today, Ms. Hima is determined to fix the error. Working late until she finishes her work, Yoshida approaches her to give her dinner, and she tells him that he's very kind. He always corrects her thoroughly, while others would have given up after a few mistakes and said she's useless. Changing the topic of conversation, she mentions that he's been shaving every day lately, thinking that maybe he has a girlfriend. Now, Yoshida clarifies that he doesn't have a girlfriend, and in fact, Garu rejected him recently. After hearing this, she just asks him not to worry and that she feels very lucky now, asking him out to have some drinks next time. Arriving home very late, Sayu jokingly gets angry with him for taking longer than usual, and this convinces Yoshida to give her something so they can contact each other. That's why he goes out with Hashimoto to a store to buy a phone, being quite indecisive in choosing a color that Sayu would like. He doesn't want to ask her because she would surely refuse to let him buy her a phone. Seeing him like this, Hashimoto thinks that Yoshida really likes Sayu, as he's going to great lengths to choose a color she'll like. He also explains that it's okay to be kind, but he thinks Yoshida should think carefully about how he relates to Sue. If she gets too attached or worse, falls in love with him, he'll surely have a problem. Furthermore, it's also possible that he could fall in love with her, although Yoshida immediately denies this, declaring that he only likes older women with large breasts. After that, Hashimoto tells him that if he wants to play it safe, he should choose a white or black phone. Afterwards, they go to the office. Garu invites Yoshida to have dinner. While they're eating, she tells him that this is the best thing about having dinner with him in front of her colleagues or bosses. She can't eat meat or drink beer freely, as everyone expects her to be a very modest lady, while he's not bothered if she isn't, and the two of them play a game of asking each other questions, and Yoshida starts by asking why she invited him today, as he assumes she has something to tell him. Gochu asks him if he has a girlfriend, and even though he answers no, she calls him a liar. It's very strange how he's changed. Plus, she's been his boss for 5 years and knows him. For these 5 years, he never cared about working overtime, but now he leaves on time. He also takes better care of his appearance now, even hinting that he's been seen getting quite close to Miss Hima. Although Yoshida makes it clear that he has nothing going on with her. He then tells her that he has been with this company for 5 years and has always been in love with her. Even now, he still likes her being someone special to him. He asks her why she's so interested in the topic. After all, she rejected him, so if she doesn't even like him, then what he does is none of her business. Garu confirms that Yoshida isn't dating Miss Hima and doesn't have a girlfriend either, which is why she invited him to have dinner, and she's happy about it. Yoshida is a little disappointed with this, not really understanding her, and so Gato allows him to ask one more question. With some difficulty, Yoshida asks her what cup size she is, to which Gato replies in a low voice that she's an I cup already on the train. Yoshida wonders why she invited him to dinner. Not convinced that there's a chance of her arriving home, he gives Sayu the phone and she thanks him very much for it, having no choice but to accept it. She also mentions that white is her favorite color and that he has good taste. Taking the opportunity to ask for his number and get his contact information, she sets her username as I'm Sayu, laughing because now he's her only friend and this username is just for him. Yoshida is taken aback by her dazzling smile, as it wasn't a fake smile or an attempt to please him. It was a seductive smile that hides some intention, and he complains that he'll never understand teenagers. One night, Sayu has a bad dream. Remembering one of those times when she was staying with another man at work, Yoshida is invited to the movies by Miss Hima, and due to her insistence, he has no choice but to accept. As the day goes on, Sayu starts to think that just like the other men, Yoshida will surely kick her out when she starts to become a burden. An example would be when he gets a girlfriend and being as kind as he is, he'll get a girlfriend very soon. And she wonders if he would sleep with that woman. At that moment, she receives a message from him informing her that he's going to the movies with someone from the office. After a while, Sayu wonders if it's a girl and decides to go see for herself. When Yoshida and Mishima finish watching the movie, she surprises him with a hug before they say goodbye, and Sayu sees this from afar. Shortly after, he returns home alone, only to realize that Sayu is not there. He then goes outside to look for her, quite worried. Sayu is in the park, remembering what she saw, feeling bad because Yoshida never made that face with her. At that moment, she can't help but cry, realizing that she's jealous of a person she knows nothing about. Coincidentally, Mishima finds her and asks what she's doing there. But seeing that she doesn't answer, she decides to sit next to her so she won't get in trouble for being alone. Answering Mishima's questions, Sayu tells her that she ran away from home. But it's not that she had a fight with her parents, considering that they get along very well. Tells her about a man who was incredibly kind to her, but that she doesn't believe that unconditional kindness exists. There must be a reason to want to be kind to others. Miss Hima supports her reasoning. After listening to her, she explains to Sayu that there are people who really are that kind. And even if you wonder why they're like that, you never get an answer. So you keep thinking, and then you can't stop. And when you realize it, you only think about him. Sayu wonders if Mishima is talking about Yoshida, understanding that the ideas she's conveying are about fighting for what you want. After talking for a while, Sayu decides to return home and be honest with Yoshida, but at that moment, he appears to scold her for disappearing. This makes Miss Hima wonder if they were both talking about the same person. She also assumes that they're family and says goodbye to them both. Once home, Sayu surprises Yoshida by standing in front of him in her underwear. She tries to tell him that she needs to talk about something with him, ignoring Yoshida when he asks her to put on some clothes. Sayu tells him that he might not feel the same way, but despite everything, she's a girl. She also thinks that for a teenager, her breasts are quite big. Closing the distance between them and asking him if he wants to do it with her. Yoshida reminds her of what he said about kicking her out if she ever tried to seduce him. Right after, Sayu yells at him that all the other guys wanted to sleep with her, asking him again if he really doesn't want to do it, wanting to know if he hasn't thought about it for even a second or if she turns him on, needing to know his answer. After a brief pause, Yoshida admits that she does, and that there's no man who wouldn't be turned on if she did all this. Then he asks her to let him go or he'll get really angry, which she does. Sayu tells him that she did everything to survive without having to go home. But picking up a teenager has more downsides than upsides, as he'll be arrested if the police find out. The risk outweighs the reward, so they kick her out and the cycle would repeat. That's why she doesn't understand, wanting to know why he lets her stay at his house. She hasn't done anything for him, and anyone can do the chores, even if it's not her. She's causing him a lot of trouble, but he's always kind to her, maybe too kind. That's why she started thinking about what she could do to keep him from kicking her out, and she started to worry and get anxious. She doesn't know what to do anymore, so if he doesn't mind, she can sleep with him. At that moment, Yoshida hugs her somewhat tightly, and as he pulls her apart, he makes it clear that she is very cute. She has a good body for a teenager. She's pretty, she does chores, she's the best. But he's not in love with her, and he doesn't want to sleep with a woman he doesn't like. He also firmly tells her that he does dislike the idea of sleeping together and that he doesn't want to do it, making Sayu accept his decision. Once everything is cleared up, he asks her to get dressed, and she reacts with embarrassment, realizing what she is wearing, and quickly puts on more clothes. After that, they both sit down, where Yoshida explains that it's not true that she hasn't done anything for him since she's been here. It has changed. When he comes home, she's there. They eat while talking about silly things, and he's not alone when he sleeps. Thanks to that, this house is a much cozier place now, and he wants to come home soon now. Thanks to her being here. His life is much more fun now, and those words reach Sayu, who can't hold back tears of joy. Yoshida thinks that when he picked her up, he arbitrarily decided that he was rescuing her. He played the hero, saying he would turn her into a normal teenager, and felt like he was protecting her. All those feelings are true, but it wasn't fair to her to deceive herself into believing those were the only reasons there. He asks Sayu if she wants to stay here until she feels like going home, and she happily accepts without hesitation. That day, at that right moment, Yoshida believes that they finally started living together in every sense of the word. Later, Sayu asks Yoshida for permission to work, which he readily accepts, agreeing that she should get a part-time job. She already knows where to work, referring to the convenience store near their house. On her first day at work, she meets her supervisor, Asami Uki. Asami is relaxed since they're the same age, making Sayu feel more comfortable and at ease. As they're talking, Asami finds out that Sayu lives 5 minutes away, just like her, and mentions that she'll come over to her house to visit her someday. Sayu isn't sure about that, as she doesn't know if the person she lives with will give her permission. Asami hears her say it that way and assumes that the person is not from her family, so she asks if it's her boyfriend or something. Sayu explains that he's not her boyfriend, but rather like an older brother who takes care of her. But that makes Asami confirm that he's not her real brother either. So she decides to go to her house, wanting to see what this supposed brother is like. Having no other choice, Sayu messages Yoshida to let him know that her supervisor will be coming to the house today. After receiving the message, Mishima peeks at her phone, and Hashimoto finds out that Yoshida has already told Mishima about her. That night, Yoshida is greeted by Sayu and Asami, who is surprised to see him looking like an old man, but not too bad. After introducing himself, Yoshida tells her that he used to play with Sayu when they were little, but Asami is aware that he's 9 years older than SEO, so when she was in elementary school, he was already in high school, having no idea what they could have been playing back then. Sayu explains that more than playing, Yoshida took care of her because her parents were hardly ever home. He agrees with that. And then Asami finds out that Sayu does all the housework. After talking for a while, Asami gets ready to leave, convincing Yoshida to walk her on her way. Once alone, she asks Yoshida what his relationship with Sayu is, as he's so bad at lying that she dies of laughter. When they were talking about the past, his eyes were darting around like an Olympic athlete, so he could be honest with her and tell her the truth. Yoshida takes a long pause to think it through, responding that he believes what Sayu said is the truth. If she says she sees him as an older brother, there's no reason for others to doubt it. Asami understands that he prefers to leave things as they are, but by saying it that way, he admits it's a lie. Yoshida explains that if it's something Sayu wants to keep hidden, he doesn't think it's right to reveal it. After hearing this, Asami is convinced that he's a genuinely good person and feels relieved. She also gives him some advice since Sayu is very good at hiding her smiles, asking him to take good care of her. On another day at work, Garu once again invites Yoshida to dinner, where she brings up the topic of his love life again. She notices that he's always looking at his phone now and has changed a lot, so she thinks he's dating someone. Before answering her questions, Yoshida asks her first why she cares so much about what he does, refusing to answer anything unless she explains that first. Taking a little while to tell the truth, Garu ends up confessing that she is in love with him. Yoshida raises his voice, reminding her that she told him she had a boyfriend, but Garu also confesses that it was a lie. She apologizes for that, as she has good instincts. When he confessed to her, she was very happy and wanted to jump for joy, but she felt it wasn't the right time and thought things wouldn't work out after hearing her. Yoshida can't believe her words, not convinced that she is actually in love with him. He partly thinks that she just wants to have fun playing with him, but she denies it, asking him what she can do to make him believe her. Yoshida then proposes that he sleep with her, leaving Garu speechless. Even though he later tells her he was joking, she shyly tells him that she's a virgin, wanting to know if he still wants to do it. Despite that, Yoshida apologizes for making her say that with his joke, but she repeats once again that she is really in love and so they could do it. After thinking things through, Yoshida tells her that he'll wait, but she won't get another confession out of him, and when she thinks the time is right, she should confess her feelings. He also mentions that she always wants the other person to tell her everything, and that's why he has such a bad temper. He gets quite angry because he's still in love with her, and it's very painful that the girl he likes is playing with him. If she really loves him, she should put herself in his shoes. Otherwise, it's not fair. Garu ends up accepting his words, mentioning that she doesn't know when it will be, and next time she'll be the one to confess. Changing the topic, she points out that she already answered his question, so now it's his turn to tell the truth. Meanwhile, Sayu is left alone at home eating her dinner. For a moment, she has memories of someone from her past, which makes her stomach churn and feel very sick. At that moment, she receives a message from Yoshida informing her that he's bringing Garu home, but it's because she wants to meet her. On the way home, Yoshida tells Garu about Sayu, who has been living in his house for months, giving her almost all the information about it. Shortly after arriving, Garu feels that Sayu is somewhat distant, and when Yoshida goes to the bathroom, she asks Sayu if she wants to talk alone, as she surely has questions for her. Sayu agrees, convincing Yoshida to go shopping so they can talk in private. After asking her some basic questions, Gato makes it clear that she won't ask her why she left and what she did until she got here. But being direct, she asks her how long she intends to stay here. Meanwhile, Yoshida runs into Mishima on the way, who insists on accompanying him on his shopping trip. Back with the other two, Sayu doesn't answer Garu's question. Goto tells her that high school girls are special. No matter how hard she tries, she can't be anything more than a high school girl right now. That's how powerful social status is. And even though Yoshida allows her to stay here, society won't. To her surprise, Sayu smiles and thanks her. Although she wanted to escape from everything and feel relieved, she thinks that deep down she wanted someone to tell her to stop running away. Since she left home and came here, she stayed with many men. She used her body for that, although she doesn't really know what she was thinking as long as she had a roof over her head. For a few days, she let them touch her, and little by little, she started to enjoy being desired by men. But Yoshida told her directly that it was wrong. Yoshida not only didn't touch her, but he told her he would make her see reason. Hearing this, Goto can't help but laugh a little, apologizing for it as it's such a serious topic, but she had already imagined he would be like that. Then she mentions that Yoshida accepts her and Sayu trusts him, as it's obvious when she sees them both. So it's okay for her to let him spoil her. That's not a mistake, however, that's only allowed under certain conditions, so she needs to think carefully about what she'll do in the future. Sayu is aware that she can't go on like this, determined to face her past for her own good, and Yoshida's Garu supports her words, hugging her to comfort her, advising her to enjoy her adolescence to the fullest, as it's a very valuable stage in life. Back with Yoshida and Mishima, she confronts him, knowing that Gatu is at his house and so is Sayo. She found out because she saw him worried when he left work and the restaurant, so she ended up following them. Previously, she had asked him who was at his house, and since Yoshida only replied that Sayu was there, she knew he was still hiding things from her by not telling her about Goto. Meanwhile, Sayu asks Gatu directly if she likes Yoshida. Although she hesitates to answer honestly, Sayu believes this is important since he's quite smitten with her. After teasing her a bit, Gatu admits that she does like him, that she only has eyes for him, and that she's been watching him since he joined the company. Sayu thinks this is good as she would be very happy if Yoshida's feelings were reciprocated and agrees to support their relationship. As for Mishima, she explains to Yoshida that the one he likes went to his house and it's crazy that at such an important time there's a teenage girl staying there. She's not trying to say that he should kick Sayu out, but she doesn't understand how his priorities work. If she were in his shoes and really wanted to date Garu, she would hide everything from Sayu. Talking more about it, she admits that he's too kind to do something like that. But she can't help but think that it's not love and that he's confusing admiration with love. And if that's not the case, it's also possible that his feelings for Sayu are turning into love. As advice, she tells him that if he's too nice, he won't be able to get what he really wants. After that, she apologizes and leaves without saying anything else. Once back home, it's time to take Garu to the station. On the way, she mentions that Sayu seems like a very unstable girl who doesn't know herself well, so it wouldn't be strange if other emotions arose in her at any moment. This leaves Yoshida a little thoughtful. Finally, she expresses her trust that he'll be able to solve everything, giving him full support at work and with Sayu. In Shangju's scene, we're shown the other employee at the convenience store, Kyuya Yaguchi, who has just found out about the new employee, Sayu. When it's her turn to work, Sayu and Yaguchi run into each other and they both recognize each other immediately. Yaguchi confidently remembers her as Miyuki, causing Sayu to become quite tense, telling him he's mistaken. But he insists he's not wrong as he never forgets the girls he sleeps with. In this uncomfortable situation, Asami arrives and quickly realizes that he's bothering her, sending him to the cash register so Sayu can be left alone. Before Sayu can say anything, Asami stops her as it's not necessary for her to explain, seeing that she's not comfortable talking about it. In the afternoon, Yaguchi waits for Sayu to continue flirting with her, asking her to let him go to her house. She refuses his requests without hesitation, but Yaguchi blackmails her, threatening to tell Asami and the boss about her past. Having no other choice, Sayu accepts under the condition of warning the owner of the house, and Yaguchi also promises her that they'll just talk and he'll leave before he arrives. Sayu texts Yoshida that she's bringing a supervisor from work home who seems to be leaving before he arrived. She just wanted to let him know so he wouldn't worry too much once at home. Yaguchi doesn't understand why this man has let her live there for months without touching her. At that moment, he sits next to her, admitting that he can't resist being alone with such a cute girl. Sayu struggles with him. She even slaps him in an attempt to push him away. This only provokes Yaguchi to use even more force, cornering her and not letting her escape. In this situation, Sayu wonders why she let this guy into the house. If he tells them about her past, her friendship with Asami will be ruined. The police will be called and it will cause trouble for Yoshida. She can't allow that to happen. And so she ends up giving in. Suddenly, the door opens. It's Yoshida, who, seeing them on the floor, asks Sayu if he can kick him out, to which she replies yes. Without thinking twice, Yoshida forced Yaguchi out of the house. After that, he has to listen to the terrible and cruel things Yaguchi says about what he does with SEO, comments of him normalizing the use of her body as payment to live with him, and that there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of it. He also thinks Yoshida is proud of himself because he believes he's rescuing her. And since neither of them has permission from her parents, they're both criminals. Then he gets bored of talking about it, giving his word that he won't touch her again since he doesn't want to deal with someone as pathetic as him. Yoshida tells him that no matter what happens, he doesn't want to become one of the adults who corrupted her values. Once Yaguchi leaves, Yoshida can't help but get angry about this matter. Since no one bothered to help Sayu, they just hurt her more and more and threw her out without taking responsibility. After that, he enters the apartment where she confesses that she used to do it with that dude as if it were the most normal thing over and over again. But this time she was very scared, thinking he was going to force her to do it. Yoshida comforts her with a hug, telling her that she defended herself very well and clarifying that this is his responsibility for having her here. He asks her to focus on thinking more about herself, not wanting her to get hurt that way. None of those guys feel bad for hurting her. But if she doesn't value herself, no one will be able to protect her. He wants her to be a normal high school girl, to go to school, make friends, learn many things, and become an adult. And when he sees that she hasn't been able to do that, it hurts him a lot. Even though he knows it's selfish. He doesn't know anymore if he's helping her for her own good or for his, but he really wants her to start valuing herself more. Sayu thanks him through tears, determined to try harder. The next day, Asami asks Sayu if anything happened with Yaguchi yesterday, but she simply replies that nothing happened, showing her fake smile. This makes Asami confront Yaguchi, who calmly replies that he went to Sayu's house and asked if she wanted to sleep with him. Hearing this makes Asami furious, and upon knowing what he did, she doesn't hesitate to slap him. She tells him that he tried to hurt someone who was already hurting, and that he's the worst for it, forcing him to apologize to Sayu. Yaguchi agrees to do so, telling Sayu that he doesn't regret suggesting it, but admits that he tried to force her a little. Sayu asks him why he didn't tell Asami about her past, and Yaguchi replies that it was because he promised not to say anything if he came to her house. This makes her laugh, saying that he's a weirdo. She tells him that she doesn't think she can forgive him for yesterday yet, but at least she's less angry. However, if he tries something like that again, she'll be really angry, which Yoguchi accepts without a problem. Despite everything, Sayu is happy that Yoshida and Asami protected her leaving work. Yoshida texts Sayu that he'll be staying at the office tonight. Asami takes advantage of this to stay at Sayu's apartment, stopping by her house to pick up her sleepover kit. Sayu is surprised by how big her house is, which Asami explains that her father is a politician and her mother is a lawyer. They have a lot of money, which is why the house is so big. And she also confesses that this is the first time she's told a friend about her family. The conversation continued. Sayu tells Asami that she's from Hokkaido, that some things happened and she ran away from home. She stayed at the homes of many men like Yoguchi before coming here, but she met Yoshida and he's been very kind from the beginning. She also met her and finally understood that what she had been doing was very foolish. Shortly after, Asami takes Sayu to an excellent spot where they both can see the stars in the sky much better, as it turns out to be her favorite place. Asami tells her that her parents have always been very busy and always left her alone in that huge house. Because she wanted their attention, she started dressing like a gal. But her mom almost fainted and her dad got really furious. They didn't even think about why she had dressed that way. And her mom scares her a lot. So she continued to focus on her studies, as it seems she wants her to be a lawyer, but she actually wants to be a writer. And that's why she wants to enter the literature faculty. But she told her mom that she was completely opposed, and it was the first time they had such a bad argument. Then her dad took her out of the house and brought her to this place. While looking at the stars, her father told her that compared to one of these stars, her problems are nothing. Although Asami didn't agree with his words at all, when she saw the sky, she thought that compared to the sky, of course they're insignificant and invisible. But even so, everyone has their own story and future, so they live the best way they can. Therefore, she tells Sayu that she also has her own story and future, and no matter what happens, they belong to her. As she believes that after hearing her, Sayu understood that it's been a very difficult story, but she's sure that everything happened for a reason, so she can rest easy. Those words touch Sayu, and she can't hold back her tears. Asami continues telling her that she made it this far even though she was broken, and that's incredible. But she thinks it's also good to take a break since she walked all the way here and can walk back too. She comforts Sayu, who now feels better after receiving her support and those words. Later, Yoshida arrives home because his coworkers covered his shift, and seeing Sayu, he apologizes for not having protected her. But she tells him that he did protect her, telling him that only terrible things happened to her and she wanted to run away. But wherever she went, it was the same. Even so, she couldn't stop running and was always suffering. But by living with him, was finally able to start thinking about the future, not thinking about how far she could run or where she wanted to go, so she asks him if he can let her stay with him a little longer. Yoshida ruffles her hair, seeing that she's a very good girl, telling her that he'll help her in any way he can to get her life back to normal. And out of joy, she can't help but hug him, showing a genuine smile. On another workday, Asami notices the black car that usually parks outside but never enters the store to purchase anything. Meanwhile, Mishima can't help but feel jealous seeing Yoshida respond so cheerfully to Sayu's messages. She also notices Garu's constant attention towards Yoshida, and then he ends up inviting her out for a meal. Miss Hammer realizes that Garu already knows about Sayu and asks if she isn't worried that Sayu might steal Yoshida away. Garu responds that if that happens, she'll figure it out because no matter how hard one fights, you can't control the feelings of others. Even if you meddle, force things, and get what you want, there's no telling how long it will last. Mishima then asks if that means making an effort is pointless. Gato isn't saying that, as even if you twist things in your favor, they'll eventually return to their original form. Hearing this, Mishima accuses her of being afraid, not wanting to miss the opportunity to get what she wants. Raising her voice, Garu scolds her for causing a scene, saying that until they know how Yoshida truly feels about Sayu, they can only observe. And precisely because she likes him, she thinks nothing she does will change anything. Later, Mishima persistently asks Yoshida for his number, using the argument that Sayu and Gato already have it. She also complains about his bad habit of doing things for others, when in reality he's just prioritizing how he wants to act. Seeing that he doesn't get the obvious hints, she confesses directly that she's in love with him, and that's why she took his phone. She then texts him, asking if they can go to the movies another day, to which he simply replies, yes, making Mishima laugh. Later, Yoshida has dinner with Sayu, reflecting on certain things Miss Hima said. Until now, he has made many decisions with Sayu in mind. That has been his intention, but he wonders if he has only done things as he wanted. The following day, Yoshida, having the day off, stays home, wanting to help Sayu with the chores, but Sayu insists she can manage alone and accidentally trips, falling on top of him on the bed. There, she realizes she's dropped a wet towel on his shoulder, so she gets up and tells him to take a shower. Meanwhile, she continues cleaning and gets his permission to take a box out of the closet. In that box, she finds his yearbook, where she sees a photo of him with a girl coming out of the bathroom, and seeing this, Yoshida tells her that she was his girlfriend, the senior everyone admired. Remembering the past, that girl told him he was too intense and that she didn't want someone to cherish her so much, although he believes that's normal. Because if you truly fall in love with someone, you want them to always smile and be happy, and if possible, to be the one who makes them feel that way. After all, you're completely in love. Sayu ponders those words in relation to her own situation and then scolds Yoshida when tries to smoke inside the house. This makes him laugh at his mistake, and seeing him laugh like that only makes Sayu stare at him even more. On another workday, the luxury car parks once again in front of the convenience store. But this time, someone gets out. When Sayu sees this person, she doesn't react well, immediately ducking down to avoid being seen. Yaguchi learns from her that she knows this person and doesn't want to be found, so he helps her escape to the storeroom unnoticed. Yaguchi attends to this person, who gives him a business card with the name Issa Ogiwara. Issa tells Yaguchi that he's looking for a girl named Sayu Ogiwara, wanting to know if she works there. Yaguchi replies that he's never heard that name, but Issa decides to leave things at that and leaves without saying more. Sayu tells Asami that this person is her older brother who came looking for her. With that, she understands that Issa has figured everything out, but she's not ready to go home yet, accepting the fact that she can't keep running for much longer. Later, while out shopping, Sayu bumps into Mishima. Just then, she notices her brother nearby, and understanding the situation, Ms. Hima takes her to a karaoke room. She sends Yoshida a message, telling him where they are and that they're having a blast. After singing for a while, Mishima sits beside Sayu and lets her know that Yoshida has already told her most of her situation. She points out that since Sayu is being pursued, it means she can't keep postponing what she needs to do. Mishima tells her that she shouldn't worry so much about shopping or chores because Yoshida won't care about those things when he has something much more important to deal with. Mishima also explains their situation, how they emotionally depend on each other. She then asks SEO if she can separate from Yoshida without any problems and what she feels for him. In any case, she had a reason for running away from home, and that's how she ended up with Yoshida. If she's taken back without having achieved anything, she asks if it will have had any meaning for her life and for all the people who spent their time with her. Soon after Yoshida arrives to pick up Sayu, Mishima sees him talk so comfortably with her about dinner, can't help but feel hurt. As they leave, Ms. Hima collapses on the floor, complaining about how unfair it is as he never shows that side of himself to her and she loves him too. On the way, Sayu sees a poster for the summer festival and asks Yoshida to go with her. When the day arrives, Yoshida can't help but be captivated by how beautiful Soul looks in her yukata. She tells him that she's only been to a few summer festivals as a child because she didn't have friends to go with, but she did want to go with him. Arriving at the festival, Sayu asks why he isn't looking at her, wanting to know what he thinks of her in her yukata. He stares at her, responding directly that she looks very pretty. This takes Sayu by surprise, and she almost asks if she looks better than Guru, but stops herself from saying it. As they spend time together, Sayu convinces Yoshida to hold hands so they don't get separated in the crowd. Finally, it's time for the fireworks, and the two stay close to watch the spectacle. Meanwhile, Yoshida thinks about how if it weren't for her, he wouldn't have gone to this summer festival. He imagines what his days would be like if he had met her, realizing how lonely he'd be without her. Snapping back to reality, he notices that Sayu is not beside him and starts shouting her name, worried. Seconds later, she calls out to him from behind, asking what's wrong, as she had told him she was going to throw away the trash. Yoshida is relieved to hear this, and she comes closer to take his hand again. She asks if he thought she was gone, noting how nervous he got when she disappeared. He admits she's right, as for a moment, he thought she had vanished and was very scared. He also asks if she's really going back home, but quickly tells her to forget what he said. When the festival ends, Sayu tells him that she always gave everyone else a different name, but for some reason, when he asked her name, even she was surprised that she told him her real name without hesitation. She then asks why he said that, wanting to know if he doesn't want her to go back home. Thinking for a moment about what to say, he places his hand on her head and tells her that it's best if she returns, and she agrees. The next morning, there's a knock at the door, and when Yoshida opens it to see who it is, he finds Issa Ogiwara, who properly introduces himself as Sayu's older brother. Seeing him, Sayu can't help but be surprised, and the same goes for Yoshida. While Issa informs them that he has come to take Sayu away, Sayu tells her brother that she is not ready to go back yet, but he asks her how long she will continue to be so childish since she stopped contacting him and now he finds her here. He He questions what she would do if the person she is staying with has bad intentions, since unlike children, adults can pretend to be good people. Hearing this, Sayu harshly tells him that Yoshida is not like that and that he shouldn't use Yoshida as an excuse to scold her. Yoshida, after making arrangements for time off work, tries to create a comfortable atmosphere for the conversation. Isa gets straight to the point, asking if there's anything inappropriate going on between the two, but they both answer no without hesitation. In that case, Isa thanks Yoshida for taking care of her all this time, as he was worried that she might be in a dangerous place. Then he informs Sayu that her mother is worried about her, but Sayu immediately accuses him of lying, claiming that her mother would never do something like that. Isa explains that many people have come to the house since she left. Their mother, not wanting a scandal, turned them away multiple times by saying Sayu refused to leave her room, but apparently this caused her school to believe that they are keeping her locked up, and they want her to come back to clear up the misunderstanding. Yoshida realizes that Sayu's mother cares more about appearances than her daughter's feelings, to which Isa says he doubts that she has ever cared about them. Their mother is relentless in getting what she wants, so it will be difficult for Sayu to keep running away. At that moment, Yoshida asks if they can postpone this for a few days. Believing Sayu means more time to think things through, Isa asks for permission to speak with his sister alone, promising Yoshida that he won't take her away. Soon Sayu and Yoshida are left alone in the apartment, where she receives his support, feeling calm when she's with him. A few minutes later, she goes to see her brother, who talks to her about how there aren't many adults who would take in other people's children out of pure goodwill. He was worried that she was having a hard time, but now he feels more at ease because it seems that Yoshida truly cares about her. Their mom will call soon, as she does every day, to see if he has found SEO. Since this all happened, their mother has been very unstable, and it's been worse since Sayu left, so she should come back. Sayu explains that at first she ran away because she was suffering, but she also suffered in the place she ended up. She realized that no matter where she went, she was alone. Then she met Yoshida, and he made her understand how foolish she had been and all the important things she had lost until she got here. That's why she knows that she herself must think carefully about what she should do and what she has learned after coming this far. So she doesn't want to go back home until she knows the answer to that. After listening to her, Asa sees that she has changed a bit, as she is now more direct in saying things. Most he can give her is a week planning to pretend to their mother that he hadn't found Sayu yet. With that matter settled, Sayu texts Asami to come over to the house because there's something important she needs to tell her. When Asami arrives, Sayu informs her that she will have to go back home in a week. She then tells both of them that she wants to share everything that has happened to her so far and asks them to get ready to listen. It turns out that she has never gotten along with her mother, so even in high school, nothing motivated her and everything seemed indifferent to her. Others also avoided her, but that was better for her. However, there was a girl who approached her named Yuyuko. Just like her, Yuyuko didn't fit in well in class either, and spending time together was really fun. So thanks to Yuyuko, she was able to start smiling. But a group of girls started bullying Yuyuko. At that time, Sayu asked her why they were doing that to her. Yuyuko reminded her that the other day a boy from the basketball team confessed to her to Sayu. She rejected him, and there was a girl who was in love with him. So that must be why Sayu thinks that in that case, they should attack her instead. But Yuyuko explains that she is pretty and looks nice just standing there. No matter what happens, they will never see her as the bad guy. And that's why they attack her instead. Yuyuko believes it's inevitable because it's weird for someone with Sayu's appearance to be with someone like her. Hearing her talk like that, Sayu makes it clear that she's her first friend. She was so angry that she hadn't realized that they were bullying her friend because of her. She thought everything would be fine if they were together and that they would overcome it, but she was completely wrong. On one of those days, Sayu went to the school rooftop where she saw Yuyuko on the other side of the safety barrier. Yuyuko told Sayu that she was waiting for her. The first time she saw her here, she thought she was very pretty. She was cold and beautiful, and no one could get close to her. But since she is a fool, she started to admire her and finally approached her. When they talked, Yuyuko realized that Sayu is a sweet and normal girl. She is kind, caring, and has a beautiful smile. But she blames herself for ruining all of that, because she made her hang out with an introvert like her. And now people make fun of her. Lately, she wasn't smiling because she would only think about how to protect her, thanking her for everything. Finally, Yuyuko tells her that this isn't her fault and that she should always smile, ending by jumping off the roof. Sayu struggles to process what happened, but only when she looks over the railing does she see the truth, letting out a cry of pain. As a result, Sayu stopped attending classes, and this caused people to gather in front of her house to ask questions. Seeing her mother, Sue is told that all of this is her fault, is asked to stop causing them problems once and for all, not seeing the point of blaming them for this incident. That's when her mother asks her if she actually killed Yuyuko, which makes Sayu explode with anger. She yells that she would never do that, but she would never believe that they'd bullied her best friend because of her. And now she's dead. And if she is so bothered by it, she will do her the favor of disappearing. After that, she was about to leave, telling her brother that their mother accused her of killing Yuko. And that's why Essa agreed to give her some time away from home. Taking her to the station, he gives her an envelope of money, explaining that if she uses it wisely, it can last her about 6 months. And if she feels she's in danger, she should call him immediately. That's when she ran away from her mother and was finally free. But instead of feeling happy, her loneliness only increased. And without realizing it, she spent all the money her brother had given her and only felt empty and pathetic. She even felt that her brother's kindness had been out of pity, seeing that at that point her phone didn't even have any battery left, so she felt like no one ever cared about her. By the time she realized it, she had become too careless. And that's when it all started, and she never went back. Probably at the beginning they made her promises that seemed honest, but after a few days they started to desire her. And since she didn't want to go back home, she unwillingly said yes to them, recognizing how foolish she was. She doesn't even remember the name of the guy from her first time. And after that, the cycle just repeated itself. After finishing her story, Asami doesn't hesitate to comfort her, seeing how much she has struggled. Shortly after, Sayu falls asleep from exhaustion, so Asami talks to Yoshida alone. She knew something had happened to Sayu, but she didn't think it was so serious. Even Yoshida comments that not even an adult could endure what happened to her. Then Asami asks him what he plans to do with her, whether he will let her go back home alone. Yoshida believes that a stranger can't help her with this, but Asami makes it clear that he has already gotten too involved with her, and that this isn't about what he should or shouldn't do, but about what he wants to do with SEO. The next day, Yoshida tells Hashimoto and Mishima what happened. Later, he runs into Isa, and they talk privately. Isa asks why he's been so kind to Sayu, and Yoshida tells him that he was very drunk the day he met her. He drank to drown his sorrows after being rejected, and when he was returning home, he saw her sitting on the street. He thinks that in the end, he only helped her because he thought she was cute. Issa finds his answer so honest that he likes it. After that, he tells him about Ogiwara Foods, where their father used to be the president. However, it seems their father was a womanizer, and when their mother got pregnant with Sayu, their father had found another woman and asked their mother to have an abortion. Of course, their mother refused and had Sayu as a last attempt to keep her husband by her side. But in the end, their father left them, and since then, their mother finds Sayu's existence as proof of her husband's lack of love. Sayu was very cute and cheerful as a child, but her mother flatly refused to love her. And when she was old enough to realize it, she stopped smiling almost completely. Later, Sayu gives Yoshida a notebook full of recipes for his favorite dishes, so he can cook on his own. As the days go by, Sayu takes Yoshida to Asami's favorite place, where they talk about the support she gave him when they were there. Then she takes his hand to tell him that despite everything she's been through, she was able to meet him. If she hadn't, she would have continued to not face her mistakes and would have ended up much worse. So meeting him made everything better. She's too happy by his side and feels that it will make her doubt her decision. That's why this week she tried many times to leave while he wasn't there. But she couldn't do it, really wishing she could stay here forever. But she can't do that, because if she does, she'll never face her past and everything she's done will be in vain. That's why she wants to prove that meeting him improved her life. And it'll do it in such a way that anyone who sees it will accept it. The very fact that she met him will carry him with her when she returns, so she asks him to wish her luck with that. Yoshida can't hold back the tears either, giving her his full support with one day left before Sayu leaves. Yoshida talks about this with Hashimoto and Mishima. She suggests that he go with Sayu to Hokkaido, that the company won't stop running because one employee is missing. Anyways, Hashimoto agrees with her on that. At work, Asami tells Yoshida that Sayu isn't in the apartment, and this makes them leave work to look for her as a top priority. While they're in the car, Hashimoto is hard on Yoshida, wanting him to open his eyes and admit his priorities and feelings, because work doesn't matter in these cases. After scolding and advising him, he leaves Yoshida alone to think things over on his own, knowing him well as his best friend. Later on that day, Sayu waits for him in front of the house with the others. As it turns out, she wanted to see where he works, so she wanted to come back with him. And that's why she was waiting for him. She didn't tell him because she wanted it to be a surprise. Then she apologizes for not answering as her phone's battery ran out. As night falls, Sayu convinces Yoshida to let her sleep in bed with him, clarifying that she won't do anything weird. By hugging him from behind, she says it's the best hotel ever, but the thought of leaving this warm, cozy place is almost too much to bear. Seeing her like that, Yoshida gives her the news that he will accompany her to Hokkaido, so he will take care of her until the end and go see her mother. Hearing that makes Sayu unable to hold back her tears of joy. After saying goodbye to everyone, the three of them board a plane to Hokkaido. But first, they make a detour to a company branch where Essa has some business to take care of. This gives Yoshida and Sayu some time to relax, but when night falls, they continue on their way. Sayu asks her brother to take her to her school. When they arrive, she and Yoshida take a shortcut to sneak into the building, heading straight for the rooftop. Sayu is visibly shaken by being in the place that changed her life, but Yoshida tries to comfort her. She sees a tall fence and approaches it, then grabs it angrily, asking why it wasn't there before. Then she says that Yuko died because of her, because she couldn't understand her feelings. Seeing her lose control, Yoshida grabs her wrist and notices that she's hurt her hand there. He tells her that if she hadn't been bullied, they both would have lived in peace. And even if it were her fault, it was Yuko's decision to reach out to her. And she did it because she admired her and wanted to be her friend. He makes it clear that they were each other's only friend and they both cared for each other deeply. They made mistakes. They couldn't fix them and something irreversible happened. But it's still something that's in the past. If she can't forgive herself, she'll always be stuck in this moment. Yoshida encourages her to let out all the tears she wants and to get free once she calms down. She admits that if she had come alone, she would have lost her mind, making Yoshida glad to be by her side to support her. Finally, Sayu says goodbye to her friend Yuko, knowing she'll always have her in her memories. After that, they return to the car with Isa and head straight to the Ogiwara house. As soon as they enter the house, the first thing their mother does is walk directly towards Sayu and slap her hard across the face, leaving her stunned. Sayu's mother scolds her for her absence, claiming she caused a lot of gossip and trouble. Isa tries to calm her down, pointing out that they have guests and introducing Yoshida as the person who took care of Sayu for a long time. Despite this, they all sit down at the table to talk, where Sayu's mother continues to complain about her, even implying that her daughter enjoys causing problems. Sayu denies this, explaining that she ran away from home because of her, and that she doesn't care about her at all. Reminding her that she accused her of killing her only friend unmoved, her mother criticizes her for bringing a stranger to the house and says that all he did was pick up a teenage girl. Hearing her talk like that makes Sayu furious. She declares that her mother always belittles the people who are important to her, and that's what she hates most about her. She explains that Yoshida took care of her and valued her after she ran away from this house. She thought that to escape real pain, she had to endure more pain, but she actually hated what she was doing. Despite everything, he accepted her and told her she could stay, giving her a home where she felt she wanted to be. He saw her as a person, unlike her mother, and treated her like they were a real family. After hearing this, her mother simply asks who she thinks she is. As she doesn't know everything that she's suffered, she has no idea what she's lost because of her, and she really shouldn't have given birth to her. Sayu can't help but cry at this cruel statement while Yoshida picks up the glass of juice and raises it in the air. But seconds later, he lowers it, thinking carefully about what he should do now. The next thing he does is take a deep breath and drink the entire glass of juice, then speaks directly to Mrs. Ogiwara, asking her to stop. At that moment, he thinks about how strange this feeling is. His first impulse was to throw the drink at her, but when he managed to control himself, two emotions arose within him. A visceral one that made his blood boil, and a calmer one that came from his head and tried to suppress it. A father and a mother come together, and a child is born whether they want it or not. The child shouldn't have to bear the responsibility of being born. What he tells her is that parents don't choose their children, and children don't choose their parents either. No matter what, she's the only mother SEO has, and children don't know how to live without their parents' protection. If she's going to keep belittling Sayu like this, he'd gladly take her in. Instead, he'd like to raise her. That's what he thinks, but he can't. It goes against common sense that responsibility isn't his, and because it isn't, he's not qualified to do it. So if something happens to Sayu, the ones who should help her and take responsibility is her family. With that responsibility comes obligation, and their actions carry weight. But he has none of that. He can't truly protect her in the most important moments, only she can. There's no one else but her who's qualified to raise Sue. At that moment, he stands up and walks over to her, then bows deeply in the most respectful way possible. He begs her to raise Sayu until she can stand on her own. 2 feet, leaving everyone stunned. Mrs. Ogiwara wonders why a stranger is doing this, then sees her son Issa doing the same. Not understanding what's happening, she starts to lose her composure and tells them to leave. Issa asks them to step outside for a moment while he calms her down. Outside, Sayu is surprised to see Yoshida crying. He explains that when she told him everything, he figured out how her mother would react. But when he heard her say that she shouldn't have given birth to her, he realized that she had suffered much more than he thought. No one could bear to be told something like that. He urges her to get angry, to confront her mother, to do something. Sayu says she wanted to get angry too, but he got angry first. They end up spending a long time gazing at the stars, holding hands. That's when Isa approaches them, informing Sayu that she'll have to stay here until she graduates from high school. Their mother says that as long as she doesn't cause any problems, she'll stop nagging her about everything. She promised this verbally, but Isa believes Yoshida's words got through to her at least a little. Besides, Sayu also seems a bit more mature now, so maybe it's a good time to think about how to get along better now that everything is settled. Yoshida asks Isa if he can speak to his mother in private. When they meet, he bows and apologizes for disrespecting her earlier. She asks him if he's really never laid a hand on Sayu, and Yoshida swears that he hasn't done anything to her. Then she asks why he's doing so much for SEO. Yoshida replies that it's simply because he met her that day at that moment, that's all. Finally, she tells him that what happens with Sayu is something the two of them will discuss and figure out. Therefore, she asks him to return to Tokyo, and morning comes and Yoshida readily agrees. It's Sayu's turn to speak with her mother alone. As she enters the living room, the first thing she does is bow, deeply apologizing for causing so much trouble. She confesses that she'd been harboring a lot of anger toward her for years, and that's why she ran away. But as a result, she caused a lot of problems, and for that she's truly sorry. Her mother repeats several times that she won't apologize as she doesn't even understand what she did wrong. But when that man Yoshida spoke to her, she realized that she's the only mother she has. Sayu happily confirms this and notices that her mother even cried attracts a small smile. Finally, she tells Sayu that she can stay until she graduates high school, even though she'll have to repeat the year. After that, she can do whatever she wants. Yoshida sleeps in a guest room, but that night Sayu sneaks into his room and climbs into bed with him. She says that since it's the last time she thought they could sleep together. Taking advantage of the moment, she presses her chest against his back. At that moment, she asks Yoshida if he feels like doing it, but Yoshida declines as usual. She remembers saying that she would stand on her own 2 feet, but she doesn't want to be apart from him. She expresses how happy she was when they lived together. Again, she asks if he feels like doing it so they won't forget each other. Yoshida sits up and assures her that even if they don't, he could never forget her. They lived together for over 6 months, a man and a woman, without being lovers or family, and he'll remember their time together for the rest of his life, to which she tearfully agrees. The next day, they're at the airport. Yoshida refuses an envelope of money that Isu tries to give him for his trouble and help. Isa puts the envelope away, seeing that Yoshida won't take it, and tells him to come visit Sayu when he has time. Then he suddenly asks Yoshida if he is in love with his sister. Yoshida dismisses the idea, saying she's just a high schooler. But Isa points out that love has no age limit, and despite his tastes, it's thanks to Yoshida that Sayu was able to move forward, all because she met him. If it weren't for him, Sayu wouldn't have made it this far. He thanks Yoshida for everything. Afterward, Yoshida speaks to Sayu alone. In the midst of their goodbye, she confesses her love for him, making it clear that she's serious. Yoshida tells her not to make him say it again. He doesn't like brats and he can't see her in any other way. She understands, so she asks if she'll have a chance when she's older, which she thinks isn't entirely impossible. But he's just teasing because by then he'll be an old man. He advises her to put those feelings in a box and move on with her life. Sayu explains that's impossible and that she can't just lock away her feeling. She takes his hand and vows to see him again in the future, and finally says goodbye. Back at home, Yoshida tries making a meal from the recipe book Sayu gave him. When he tastes it, it's awful. He remembers how delicious her miso soup was. Unable to hold back his tears, he can't contain his frustration, admitting that he's the one who's not okay. Years later, we see Yoshida working in the office with the others. Miss Hima is now in charge of the project and has moved up in the company. Garu suggests going out to dinner to celebrate her project, but Yoshida tells them he can't make it because he's busy tonight. He already has plans with Asami. They often get together to discuss the novel she's writing. On his way home, he spots a beautiful girl standing by a lamppost. He's stunned. He quickly wipes away his tears and approaches her with determination. He asks her what she's doing out here so late and tells her to go home. Sayu tells him she does have a home, but it's far away. She asks if she can go to his house instead. Comment down below Rip Yoshida if you've watched this far. Thanks for watching. Want more anime recaps? Subscribe to channels and turn on notification bell. See you later. Watch those next videos.